Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason you haven't achieved your goal so far is because you're doing too much. I repeat, you are doing too much. Not too little, too much. And I'm going to prove it to you. Yes, I said prove it to you in this video. I'm not going to be telling you what to do. I'm not going to be telling you how to do it. I'm going to be telling you what I did and the system I used so you can literally put in your variables into this and get out what you need to do for yourself. I'm not going to fucking teach you how to live life, okay? The reason you haven't achieved what you want, when if you look at it realistically, how long would it take for someone, if they did the correct things, to achieve everything you wanted? Like, it's not that complicated. It's not that deep. They could probably get it in a few years' time. The reason you're not there yet is because of inconsistency. It's because of jumping around. It's because not having ultimate levels of faith in yourself that you're able to do it. Now, the way you do this is by sticking to something and being consistent with it. And that's a lot easier said than done, so I'm going to teach you how to do that. The first thing you need to do is to actually identify what you want. This is the most important part of the whole equation, and for the simple fact that this is what everything depends on. If you don't get this right, you're going to a destination which you don't want. And it's very, very incredibly easy to get this wrong, because what people usually do is you model your parents, you model your peers, you model outside influences, and you come to your conclusion based on that. So if your parents tell you to become a doctor, that's usually what you end up doing. If your peers going down a certain road, you usually follow them. If your favorite influencer, who you just randomly fucking found in your feed by accident, tells you to do a certain thing, you do it. And that isn't critical thinking. That isn't what your soul is striving for. So if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't just looked at a wall or just taken a bit of time to decompress and actually think your own thoughts for once, because as I say pretty much every fucking video at this rate, if this is your conscious mind, this tiny bit here, conscious mind, I don't know why I said a C, but whatever, we're going to stick with it. If this is your conscious mind, this tiny, tiny, tiny bit of your whole entire mind, and this huge bit is your subconscious mind, you're not really thinking thoughts that are in here. What you're thinking are thoughts from random external parts. So you're not really thinking your own thoughts. You're watching X and you're like, oh shit, Cristiano Ronaldo scored a goal, that's crazy. And your friend is babbling on to you and he's saying this and that and X, Y, and Z. And then you're thinking about that and oh, I can't believe he said that. And then you're listening to politics and gossip and you're not really thinking your own thoughts. And this is where you don't end up with a good conclusion of what you really want in life, of what you're striving for. So it's very, very hard to actually do this in a sense, but it's also the easiest thing at the same time, which might sound very contradictory, and it's because it is. All you need to do is decompress, and that's quite hard to do in this modern day and age. But if you do that, which it isn't that hard to do, then you should be good. So give yourself a bit of time to actually think. You ask yourself these questions of, fate and shit. I have quite a lot of questions that I say in the video. You're not lazy, you just need a reason. That video should be quite helpful if you want to find out your why, your reason, your purpose. But I digress. So you should kind of have an idea of it by now. And I don't mean this ChatGPT shit of, I want to earn 10k a month, I want to have a hot wife, I want to buy a Bugatti, and this type of shit, because this won't really make anyone happy on a base level. I want you to give me an exact number on how much money you need. I want you to tell me very specific things, like what kind of hobbies do you want to do? Your work, what does it look like? Where are you located? Are you tied down of where you live? Because you can be, not everyone needs to be a fucking digital nomad. Not everyone needs to be like a multimillionaire. What is it that you want? Now, I'm going to give you some stuff that I want and some stuff that could serve as an example for you. I want to achieve financial freedom, and to me that means about 20 to 30k per month. So if I achieve this number, I'm done. I'm good. I'm happy. My maintenance is way below this. And if I get this, I should be able to give my family gifts. I should be able to save up an amount where, so if some emergency happens, I can relocate, etc., etc. So this is a very good amount to me. To some people, this seems like a lot. To some people, this seems like not that much. It really depends. It's really relative. To me, this is enough. I don't want to be a multimillionaire, but I also don't want to be a fucking brokey. So this is where I kind of draw the line. This is what I personally want. Now, the next one, it's kind of based around a hobby of mine, which is music. I spend an unholy amount of time listening to music, and I watch like these cringe YouTube reactions as well, because I want to relive the moment of when I first reacted to an album. I really, really like the concept of art, and especially expressing your emotions through music, through sound. How fucking cool is that? At least to me, that's the coolest thing in the world. And I want to practice it to a level which is cool, but not extreme. Again, I would rather be like a 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10 than a 10 out of 10. In this, I would imagine being like a C or B-list celebrity as the best thing, because then you still have people, you still have fans, you can still do tours, you can still earn money from it, but you don't have to fucking book out a whole restaurant just to eat there. You don't get mobbed around by fans. You don't get doxxed. You don't have public enemies and shit. You don't have to pander to what everyone likes, and then once you change up your style, the whole fucking audience you have switches up on you. So this is kind of my sweet spot in this as well. And also, I want a wife and kids before 30, because realistically, if I have all of my boxes ticked, I have these kind of things already set out, and I have my career at a state which I'm happy with, I prioritize family. I think that's a beautiful thing. And if I can have that before this certain age, this would make me really happy. And if you need a bit more guidance with these questions, again, watch the video. You're not lazy, you just need a reason. Or just ask yourself this. If I was to tell you that you are happy when you're 10 years ahead of now, I'm taking the age 30 mainly because I'm 20 years old right now. But if I told you you're happy 10 years from now, what does that life look like? You've achieved everything you wanted 10 years from now. What does it look like? Tell me. Describe it to me. If I ask you this question, what would you say? What are the things? I just listed 3 things, but the more detailed you can be, the better. Realistically, just tell me as many things, as many specific things as you can about what you want to achieve. And that's amazing, because if you can't, you're just going to be wandering around with no compass in the woods late at night. And that's nothing good. That's not a good position to be in. In those positions, people get lost, and you will end up in a random place at a random time, and that's not exactly where you want to be, because just fucking random outside influences brought you there. But if you actually have a compass, if you actually have a desired destination and a time you want to get there by, you will arrive specifically there, because you will direct your whole entire life in that course. But I digress. Now that you have these things located and you actually know where you want to go, the only thing left essentially is to get there. And to get there, the vehicle we're going to choose is ruthless fucking copying. I left out the cuss word, but you understand that ruthless copying is amazing. People don't like to use the word copy, but I love it, because I think it's stupid to be this vicious person who wants to reinvent the wheel and do everything for themselves if it's been done before. Now, I want you to understand this. If we wrote out stuff that's a bit akin to mine, or maybe a bit more ambitious, a bit less ambitious, I need you to understand that you're that special. You're not that special. You're not that scary. You're not that extreme. If you wrote out something like, I want to conquer fucking Venus and I want to enter a new galaxy, sure, you can click off the video. But for the most of us, actually, like, contrary to fucking popular belief, we don't have that crazy interests. We don't have that crazy goals. We're kind of fine with earning a bit more than average. I know mine is like quite a bit more than average, but you understand what I mean. It's not like I need millions and billions of dollars. We're kind of fine with just being good at what we do and not amazing and like 10 out of 10. And that is quite realistic. We can literally just achieve that in a few years. Like, it doesn't have to be the way where you grind every single day and you, fuck around every single day and you have to like sell your fucking soul to get it. And for that reason, many people have done it before, so we can just ruthlessly copy them. Now, there's a very, very specific way in which you must copy these people, because if you don't understand this, you will end up at a random position, because although you're copying the person, you're not doing it right. You're going to break your compass midway through, or it's going to be nighttime and you're not going to be able to move around because you don't have a flashlight, if we want to continue this metaphor. So the first error number 1, I'm just going to transform this comma to a hashtag. Error number 1 is, if you're at like a 3 out of 10, and you want to get an 8 out of 10, and you copy what an 8 out of 10 is doing, you are mentally disabled. And that's for the reason that this guy, too many arrows, I'm just going to fucking keep it. You can listen to what I'm saying and keep track. So this guy's doing the 3-way delt technique. This means that he's using his fucking cable on the gym machine and the specific strap, and he's doing these all sorts of fucking fancy exercises to make sure that his rear delt is popping as much as possible, and the time under tension and the elongated stretch is maximized, because he needs to do that. Now that he's at an 8 out of 10, he needs to do these very specific techniques to get to a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But you, on the other hand, if you're a 3 out of 10, all you need to do is walk a bit more. All you need to do is not eat that pack of chips or crisps or whatever. All you need to do is hit the gym now and then. You don't even need to do that. You need to do that when you reach like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Right now you're chubby and you're not strong. All you need to do is the fucking very basics. You don't need to do this shit. All this will do is increase your chance of injury and slow your progress and overwhelm you because it's way too complicated for you. And I mean that with the best interest. So the fix to this is to actually look at what this guy did when he got from a 3 to an 8. Chances are he had his father who introduced him to the gym. Okay, and now instead of sodies, he started drinking spring water. Okay, and now instead of, now instead of taking the bus on that 2-stop line, he ended up going 10 minutes earlier and he walked it. Just random things like that integrated into his day got him this progress, and now he went to like a 6 out of 10. And when he was a 6 out of 10, sure, he got like a dialed-in workout plan, and that's what got him to 8. But the thing is, this shit will not work. This isn't going to help you whatsoever. So you need to choose a role model who's already done the thing, and you're like, okay, I want to get to an 8, so I'm going to copy an 8. Sure, but don't copy what the 8 has done. They are usually talking about what their life looks like, and that's not of any use to you. You need to look at what they did to get to this position, because this is essentially what will help you to get to where you want to go. The next error is modeling the wrong people. If you're like, I want to get rich, so you copy a rich person, that also might be a blunder. And here's why. If you have a 3 out of 10 money situation and you want to get a 7 out of 10, so this 7 out of 10 could be something like my goal, like 20k, which is like quite a lot of money. It's well above average. That's why I wrote 7. But it's not amazing. Like, there's a bunch of big entrepreneurs who earn like hundreds of thousands or millions or even billions. And we're nowhere near that. So we're not like 8, 9, 10 out of 10s. But if you model someone online who has this 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 like business channel, and they're writing a bunch of books and they're giving you advice, they're going to say shit like, cut off your friends. You have these people in your life, yeah, cut them off. Because you don't have time for business if you're spending them with friends. Or you want to go on dates. No bueno, because you don't have time for that. And all this person has time for, 90% of their day consists of working. And it's quite reasonable, because if they want to get like that 9 or 10 out of 10 level of money, they're going to give you the advice that is conducive to that goal. And this is very logical if you want to get to that like extreme. But the thing is, what you want is a 7 out of 10. And the reason you only want a 7 out of 10 is for this very reason. So you can keep these things in your life, because I wouldn't be happy with losing this. The reason I didn't put a higher number, although it might look cooler and it might get me like a bit of dopamine, and I might get a few fucking virtual pats on the back of, yeah, you go, yeah, big goal and ambitious and shit. I don't fucking want that. I don't want to be the person who has like cortisol spikes every single time he wakes up, and all your day is about is fucking putting out fires because this happened in your team and you're getting sued for this and that and this and that, because that's just not the life that I want to live. And I know that if I earn a lot of money, a lot of stress comes with it. That's what every single entrepreneur says. And I'm just simply not willing to live that life. So I take this as my goal, 7 out of 10. And that's a good goal to have, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people should strive for this. And I think a lot of people do already. But we model these kind of people who are the extremes, and they obviously give you extreme advice. And I mean, more power to them, because that's what they should be doing. But we shouldn't be doing that, because we're not that fucking person. You understand? So the correct thing to do is to look at someone who is at your level and to understand how they got there and copy the transition. This is what you need to copy. Oh, that's an R. Holy shit. Copy. And be ruthless about it. You don't really need anything else. Just copy this aspect of life. You notice how they got there in the physique and you copy that. Okay, copy someone who got to the business. And the best thing is if you can copy someone who exactly is living your life in the physique, in the business, in the spirituality, in the hobbies, in everything. If you can just literally just copy what they did, even better, right? But you can go like aspect by aspect and just copy someone for the physique and copy someone for the money and copy someone for the family and that kind of shit. And finally, this is just like the vehicle in which we will implement and how we will copy, but actually putting in the effort is the next step. Because if we don't put in the effort, we're just not really doing anything, right? Now we established what we want. Now we established how to get there. And the next step, the only step left, is implementation. So, what implementation basically is about is cycling through this loop as much as possible. Attempt, assess, and adjust. Attempt, assess, adjust. Attempt, assess, adjust. The more you can get through this loop, the more progress you will make. I repeat, the more times you can get through this loop, the more progress you will make. A common conversation in this niche of YouTube is, should you work or should you learn? You know, is it monk mode where we just fucking work all day and grind and shit? Or should we have more of a learning approach and have get more experiences and shit? And I would argue that having the balance in between these two and going 50-50 is ultimately the best thing you can possibly do for yourself. Life isn't too boring this way. And not only that, the amount of work you do is actually locked in. It's actually deep work, because this is the only thing that matters. Don't come at me with this fucking shallow work bullshit, because we know it doesn't exist. You know, Cal Newport talks in his book about deep work, which is basically just like being in flow and actually focusing on one thing, being locked in and actually putting in quality work. He talks about attention residue. And every single time you flip your attention and you're in the shallow work mode, what people like to say, you can't really be focused, because focus works in a way where if you switch your focus, you muster up a attention residue. If this is how focused you are, this y-axis, and yeah, let's say you're kind of focused, and then you lose your focus because someone comes in your room and says something to you, it takes a while to build it back up, you know. Like, you're not going to get back into a flow state, and you might say that, the conversation I had with this person was only 30 seconds long. But the thing is, this amount of time, you know, this amount of time here, which it took for you to get it back, is like 15 minutes. So that little 30-second conversation actually cost you fucking 15 minutes of work time. So deep work is essential if you want to live this type of lifestyle. If you can learn to work for like 3-4 hours a day, no more than that, and you can actually spend this time in deep work, you will be much better off than someone who spends 8 hours working. I promise you that, because people who work for 8 hours calculate that they're going to have a lunch break, you know, they're going to talk to their colleagues, they're living in this outdated fucking 2000s workspace with open offices, and they're talking to each other, and the chatter's too loud, and they have their phone on their desk with notifications enabled, and guys, it's going to be a group lunch, and hey Aaron, have you had your coffee yet, and this kind of shit. Like, do you honestly think this kind of environment is conducive to working? And you might say that, oh no, I'm home office and I'm working for myself. You know, the amount of fucking the Microsoft Teams notifications I hear from just people that I've observed who work in this kind of situation. All day they're getting these notifications because they have to turn it on. It's for work, guys. Do you know how locked in they are? Do you know how focused they are? Like, you know, if you've worked this kind of thing, you know how this looks like. And if we were actually going to be honest about the 8 hours that we work for, how much deep work is it? 3, 4, 2? Probably closer to 2, if anything. So if you can actually learn to respect your work, you will get, as a result, this. You will only have to work for like 3 and 4 hours. And if you tell your brain that in advance, you tell your brain that in advance that you're only going to work for this amount of time, it will start to be like, okay, I can deal with that. If we're only going to work for that amount of time, we might as well be locked in. And the great thing about this is that we can supplement it. Even if you want to work outside, you can kind of make progress by learning. Because if we actually look at this cycle, which I wrote up earlier, you have 2 sections. You have attempt, you have assess and adjust. And if you're locked in a retard who only does attempting and you're spamming it and, oh no, why isn't it working? And 6 months passes and you're at the same place. Well, no shit. It's because you haven't been adjusting your approach. You've been doing the same thing. Insanity is the definition, or trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity, rather. And that's exactly what you're doing. Or if you're just learning, you're theory crafting, you're assessing and you're adjusting, but you're never really getting any feedback from the market. Because, like, what would you be assessing? If you haven't done an attempt, the only thing you could be assessing is, like, other people's attempts, but that's not you. So the more you theory craft, sure, the more you can improve if you have something to fucking base it off of. But if you're not attempting, you're just useless. So you really do need to balance both of these out. So once you learn, you can do that pretty much in any kind of way. You can read, you can watch podcasts, you can do whatever you want, essentially. You can listen to like audio books and shit like that, whatever you want, really. But the thing is, why I said this is a loop is maybe you have a gardening business, or you make an attempt, whatever that means to you, right? You cook a batch because you're a baker, or you share a fucking hedge because you're a gardener. And you notice that my shares kind of got stuck. They're getting a bit rusty and they're not that good because the grip is kind of uncomfortable. And then you assess how how the session went, and you're like, yeah, the grip is kind of uncomfortable, and for that reason, I was cutting at kind of a slower pace around the second hour mark. And then you can adjust it. You can look on video on YouTube, and you can actually like read a fucking book about gardening and shears and I don't know. And then you can buy another one from Amazon, and you can look at the reviews. And that's when you're building outside of work. You can actually make your next attempt better. And just because you did that adjustment, your next attempt is going to be 2% better. And anything that is a detriment to you and why you start getting these kind of thoughts that, oh no, it isn't going well, and oh no, this isn't going to work. Any single time you get those kind of thoughts, just go back to this. Because even if you're not good enough, you can improve your skills. You can you can see that, oh shit, my skills weren't good enough. I can read this kind of book and I will get better. Or I can just do it and I will get better. Okay. Oh shit, I noticed that my equipment isn't good enough. I should buy a new camera. Okay, let's do that. Oh shit, I don't have enough money. Okay, let's get a side hustle. Like, you can figure fucking everything out. Life is literally just this circle. If you can notice this, you will be golden already, because this is super important to understand. And one final thing that we haven't really talked about yet is why this is counterintuitive, because this might seem like a lot. This might seem like I'm filling you with a shit ton of information, and it's going to be useless, and it's just going to be like the same thing that you went back to your previous life, and you got fed up with, and the reason you're watching this video in the first place. But I mean, I feel sorry if you came to that conclusion, because what it realistically looks like, what I'm talking about, is the stark opposite to what the normal person's day looks like. Because what a normal day looks like is you rest, but even the rest isn't like too efficient. If we were like to put this efficiency into a number, how well you're resting, it's like fucking sub 40%. It's like a 37% rest. Because before going to work, you're like, oh shit, what am I going to work on? I don't know. That person at work, I don't really want to talk to them. Oh shit, I really had this task I'm not looking forward to. Oh, I hope the meal's going to be tasty. And while you're working, you're getting these fucking notifications. And then you have, I don't know, this desire to eat because it's been like 5 hours already. And then you're thinking, like, all of this isn't like a good environment to work in. And this is very, very low efficiency. And even once you're resting, you're frying your dopamine and you just want to unwind from work. And this isn't really conducive to anything good. Now, I'm not saying every single work environment is like this. Obviously, take whatever you want from this. But this is what the normal person's work day looks like. And once you snap out of this and you actually start doing more by doing less, you actually start to understand how efficiency plays into this whole equation. Because not only will your work be better, but working less will allow you to learn more and be more creative, because you've probably heard this, that boredom is actually what gives you the best ideas. Boredom is when you get the ideas that lead to like billion-dollar inventions. And not only that, but if you just work less, you will rest more. And then the work that you do will be more fulfilled. So your rest, oh shit, we've already like established what we need to work on at the beginning or at the end of the last day. So our rest before work is going to be quite effective. Oh shit, we already like know how to work and how to put in deep work because we're quite educated, and we already know what to work on, and we're only working for this amount of time, and we've already told that to our brain. And this is like a huge fucking flywheel. And all of this system, with us only working for this amount of time and not getting super overwhelmed, is a positive feedback loop. And maybe our learning is going to be much better because now we know what to learn for, because we're at the beginning of the cycle. We've attempted, we've assessed the situation, and we're like, okay, we need to buy new shares. Okay, how do we buy new shares? We look at it on Amazon, and this whole thing is going to be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you're going to be so fucking fulfilled with this because now, and this is the biggest part maybe, you're not identifying with your business, because this isn't the only thing in life. I promise you, every single time you have this idea of like shiny object syndrome, and you're like, oh no, I should switch, and oh, it's not working, and damn, I'm doomed, and you lose faith in what you're doing, and you start over, and you just realize 6 months later down the line that, oh, I should have stuck with the original thing. It all comes because you're too heavily identified with the thing. Usually it's in business, but it could also be within a sport or just some other type of endeavor. But when you're working the whole day, and when you're identifying with the whole thing, even when you're resting, you're thinking about the thing, you start to identify with this. And whenever you have one bad day or 2 consecutive bad days, you start to think the whole thing's not working. You start to think that the whole life that you've built is collapsing because you're identified with this. But whenever you work, you kind of learn, you fuck around, you have conversations with your friend, which is, by the way, like literally not even part of working. Like you're just talking to your friend about the thing, or you're reading a podcast of someone you care about. Like watching a podcast, sorry. So you literally work for like 20% of the day or 30% of the day. Now you're not identified with the business. That's the thing. You're working much more efficiently. You're giving yourself time to rest, time to get ideas, time to assess your approach and adjust it and make yourself better. You're putting in the reps, you're consistent. And not only that, on the days where you don't get that much done, because it's fucking human. I'm not going to scream at you for not getting that much done, because it's normal. It's a normal thing. And every single time that happens and you have a shit day or a shit week, fuck it, you have a shit week, you're not super identified with the business anymore because you have other things in your life. You're speaking to your friends, you have hobbies. You're living a fucking life, and you're not like one of these degenerates who only cares about what they're doing and, oh, how's business? Oh man, I can't believe it. I had the worst month the last month. All life's falling apart. Oh, how's your job? Oh no, the boss is being mean to me. Da, 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 da. It's not the fucking same. Really not the same. And although you work more in this instance, you get so much more done in this one. And that's what I want you to get. If you actually understand where you need to go, and you understand that the only way to get there realistically is by copying someone who isn't too far ahead or isn't not in a place which you don't want to go to, you're not committing either of those two lethal errors, and you understand that working and learning must be balanced, and once you do balance them, both of them improve, and even your rest time improves, and you just fucking spam this equation. And you might think that, oh shit, that just sounds too boring. No, it's the opposite. It's this what is boring. When you're doing so much of the dialed-in tasks that you're so fucking bored of, and you don't have any like freedom and creativity, in this one, you have freedom, you have creativity, you have time to unwind. And even the rest time, what if you want to fucking play footy with your friends? What if you want to go watch a movie? What if you want to do anything? You can do it because now you're not super fucking involved with your business, and every single time something happens, it's okay, we can deal with it. We're not fucking stressed in this one. This is the system that got me to where I want to be. And this is the system that I've always continued doing ever since I realized that it exists. Because this is ultimately very customizable. And notice how in this whole fucking video, I didn't tell you one time what habit to do, one time what gadget to buy, what fucking software to buy, or any of these like cheesy things that all of these people try to sell you on YouTube. This is literally just a system that you can plug and play all of your variables into. You can like apply this to whatever you want to achieve in life and build your whole life around it. So use it wisely.